along if you're ready. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, good morning and welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. So glad to have you here today. Please rise in body or spirit, and spirit. And join us in singing Seed by Emma's Revolution. Take the seed that you have and plant it here. Give it water and time for a day or a year. Take the seed that you have and plant it here. Give it love. 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 Take the dream that you have and dream it here. Give it courage and time for a day or a year. Take the dream that you have and dream it here. Give it love. 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 Take the seed that you have and plant it here. Give it water and time for a day or a year. Take the seed that you have and plant it here. Give it love. Give it love. Give it love. Give it
Well, good morning. Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek, and I'm so delighted to be here and love to see all of you here. Thank you to Lisa, Joanne, and Annie for leading us in song, accompanied by Dave, Dusty, and Dan. Thank you for sharing your music with us. I invite you to turn your cell phone to silent or off as we enjoy this sacred service together. Please join me by turning to the camera and waving hello to our friends at home. Your presence adds to our spiritual community. We appreciate you. Our guest speaker today is Reverend Dr. Lauren Artrez. Reverend Lauren has been a spiritual pioneer and a leading force in popularizing the labyrinth in the U.S. and around the world, helping hundreds of thousands of people to experience this ancient spiritual practice. She's the author of 3 books on the labyrinth and has founded a nonprofit named Veritas, the Worldwide Labyrinth Project, in 1996 to pepper the planet with labyrinths. Reverend Lauren is also an Episcopal priest, spiritual director, and licensed marriage and family therapist. She holds the Gandhi, King, and Akita Peace Award for her work in bringing people together in creative, peace-giving ways. Please join me in welcoming Lauren to Unity of Walnut Creek. Unity is a path for spiritual living. And today I have exciting news. We have developed a new vision, mission, and core values at Unity of Walnut Creek. Some of you participated in the congregational identity meeting in April, and a small leadership team, including myself, listened carefully to what you had to say and created the following statements. Our vision for the world is: we envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness. Let's say that together, please. Back. We envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness. Good. And our mission statement is who we have come here to be. We are a loving, inclusive community, expanding and living our divinity in sacred service for all. Again, we'll do it together. We are a loving, inclusive community, expanding and living our divinity in sacred service for all. And our core values are love, connection, service, and wisdom. You'll find a single sheet with these statements and fuller descriptions of our core values on the table near the exit door. And they're also posted on our website. And now it's time to join me in our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. I invite the ushers to come forward. If you're here with us for the first time, I'd like to welcome you to Unity. We hope you'll choose to stay and meet some of us on the patio after the service. If you're comfortable, I invite you to raise your hand so an usher can bring you a welcome packet. Oh, lots of newcomers. And if you prefer, you could also pick up a welcome packet on the patio after the service. For those newcomers that are getting packets now, inside the packet, we missed somebody? Oh, in this case, pointing is fine. I don't want to miss anyone. Inside your packet is a connection card. If you take the connection card to the bookstore, we have a welcome gift for you. And once again, we're really pleased to have you here today, and we hope you'll come back again. Thank you very much for coming. Connection cards are also available in the seat pockets in front of you. With this card, you may submit a prayer request, and our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week. You may also share feedback or request information. Please place your card in the basket with the offering. And now it's time to meet and greet your neighbors. Please take a moment to say hello to those folks immediately around you.
Well, we have a rowdy crowd today. You guys ready to have fun? Well, you're about to. And you've already started. So thank you so much. My name's Linda, and I'm happy to be a part of your service this morning. After the service today on the patio, please come and sign up for one of our fall home study groups. You'll enhance your spiritual journey and also make new friends along the way. The book, More Together Than Alone, has arrived in our bookstore. Be sure and get your copy before we sell out. Today at 1 p.m., we're having a labyrinth workshop with our guest speaker, Reverend Lauren Artris. During the question and answer period style workshop, Reverend Lauren will help us understand why there is a labyrinth renaissance. You guys say it with me, renaissance. Perfect. Thank you. Join us to learn about the modern labyrinth movement and what possibilities wait here for us at Unity. On Saturday, October the 5th, is Unity's Blessing of the Animals. Join us on the lawn with your animals, on a leash or in a crate, for a fun pet parade and a heart-filled blessing of our beloved companions. Annie Love Villers will also offer pet energy healings and readings. Please see your bulletin or our website for more information about these and other events at our centers. And now I invite Tyler to the platform, and after Tyler, then Susan.
No, it's just one. The hits just keep on coming, right? I think I want to correct that the date for the pet blessing is the 5th, right? It said 6th on there. Yeah. So that's the Saturday before the Sunday, because it usually comes before Sunday. So hi, music, right? Are we loving music? But what do we want? Remember? More music. Yes. So you have a chance this Friday night. A lot of our concerts are on Saturday, but this one's Friday, to hear 3 amazing New Thought artists that we're very lucky to get here. Many of you know Karen Drucker, fabulous singer-songwriter, so inspiring, so connected. She will open your heart with her music. But you may not know Harold Payne and Sue Riley, who are also amazing. Harold is really a master improviser. He makes songs up on the spot. And the cool thing about this is that they all kind of share and collaborate with each other in the moment. So they're all 3 sitting up here. It's not one after another. and they listen to each other's songs, and they join in, and they're inspired by their songs, and so the whole set is created organically from the feeling, from the vibe, from the emotions in the room. So it's just a beautiful thing. Those of you who came to the Posi-Palooza last year remember that with Faith Rivera and Daniel Nahmod. So it's a similar kind of experience, and I want to encourage you to get your tickets today. This is your last Sunday to do it on the patio at the advance price, which is lower. So if you come at the door, you have to pay $10 more. And we like, money, so if you really want to, just come at the door and pay $10 more. But seriously, get your tickets today on the patio. You can go in the bookstore to purchase them, and they are available on the website. So don't forget that up until Thursday night or Friday morning, you can get that advance price. So that's this coming Friday, 7 p.m. for Posi-Palooza. Be there. Susan Angelos.
No songs. This year, our fall fundraiser is going back to the 80s. Now, in this pop-up are 10 cliches from the 80s. See if you can get them all. I'll have the answers on the patio table after the service. All right. Every year, I'll be back to say hello to my little friend and yours at the party of the year. We will have scrumptious, hearty appetizers, and I can't believe I ate the whole thing, followed by a dessert auction where cakes at Unity bakers go for big bucks, no whammy. I pity the fool who misses out on the live and silent auctions. To finish out the evening, we'll be dancing to pump you up. The date is October 26th, so who are you going to call for information? Diana Metzitz. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. Make sure you get your tickets early because missing it would make me angry, and you don't want to see me when I'm angry. Now I have to stop because I promised Mark McGarvey that I would keep this to under a minute, but I missed it by this much.
And our fall fundraiser committee is super fun, as you can see. So you're just going to have a fun time just by being in their proximity. So now is the time to begin our meditation. But before I introduce our reader today, I want to say that how Lauren Artress came into my life is kind of an interesting little story. So I want to share that briefly. In my previous church, Unity of Columbia in Missouri, hi folks who are listening and watching today, there was a woman named Betty Gale Smith. And she really, really wanted to have a labyrinth. She was always talking about a labyrinth. And she would drop this name every so often, Lauren Artress. And she was connected with the Labyrinth Society. So anyway, we built a labyrinth at that church, and we were really pleased with how it worked for us as a community to build it and to use it together. And so many years have gone by, and I was at a social event at Rossmore, and Linda Stevens introduces me to this woman, Lauren Artress. I think, Artress, I know that name. And then she says something about a labyrinth. I was like, oh, you're the labyrinth lady. Really, she is one of the leading, if not one of the people that people really point to as the founder of the modern labyrinth movement. So we are so blessed to have you close by and willing to help us out and also to be here today to speak to us about the beautiful mystical path of the labyrinth. Also with her is her partner, Kit Kennedy. Kit is a poet in residence at at the Bay Times. Is that correct? And also at Ebenezer Lutheran, also known as Her Church in San Francisco. And so we thought she might come over and join and share a little bit with Unity of Walnut Creek today, her beautiful poetry. She has several poetry anthologies out there. And come on up, Kit, and start us off. So after Kit's reading, we'll move right into our meditation time. Thank you.
Gifts. Who doesn't delight in meaningful conversation? And the deliciousness of not knowing where such talk winds up, nor which window it opens. Conversation which relies on both respectful speech and attentive listening. No doubt about it, conversation is a gift. And as we know, conversation isn't a gift until it's freely given and freely received. Let us celebrate authentic conversation, wind and rain, bees, bats, and birds, a cat's purring, the dog's wagging tail, a friend's voice, laughter. Don't overlook the language of plant and stone. By all means, frolic in the moon's universal vocabulary. The next time you dance, consider movement as the body conversing. Let us rejoice in sharing our music, singing, dancing, drumming, cooking, knitting, crocheting, sewing, our somatic arts, our jewelry making, our gardening, our teaching, our parenting, and mentoring, our smiles and our hugs. May each word and each blessed parcel of silence be a gift celebrating the ultimate gift giver, Gaia. For we are Gaia's children. In the spirit of our mother, let us be gifts to ourselves and to each other.
You can sing along if you want, or just let the song wash over you. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is more than enough. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is sacred love. I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. Inside there is peace, inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is more than enough. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy, inside there is sacred love. I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this day as it is, go inside to find my God.
And so we do exactly that. Leave everything that has happened up to this moment in time behind. And any thoughts about the future, we let them rest just there. Our worries and concerns and even our dreams and imaginings, we let them all go for now. So that we may enter into the sacred space of communion. Timeless and sometimes seeming spaceless or spacious place of infinite presence. A place to simply rest and breathe, to even give ourselves over to being breathed. And so we drop deep into the quiet. Let everything stop moving. To enter the deep portal of divine love and rest there in the quiet, in the silence together. And even as we begin to stir and to open our eyes, we keep this knowing, this connection, this center point, place we can drop in at any time. Any time, closing our eyes to the world around, dropping into the infinite presence, the divine love, restoring us. Thank you, God. And so it is.
I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. I will leave this world as it is, go inside to find my God. It's a great day in the morning, so let's sing about that. Let's get ourselves really settled, though. Thank you for just being with us for a minute while we get settled. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Great day in the morning, starting at dawn, bringing the blessings of angels and singing a song, spreading our wings in a fresh stream, the winds at our backs as we sail away. And wonder by wonder as we go, we're already home. Joy is a revelation, after the destination, that's all that I need to know. If it's from the start is that home is where the heart is, there's no place love cannot go. Following the leader inside and expecting the best. The world shows up for the party and we are the guests. Every breath is a fresh start. Open our hearts and get carried away. And wonder by wonder as we go, we're already home. We coming from the demons, guarding the gates of freedom. They offer a word to the wise. And our old friend the shadow has been with us from the get-go, just another ally in disguise. Great day in the morning, starting at dawn, bringing the blessings of angels and singing a song. Our wings in a fresh stream, the winds at our back as we sail away. Wonder by wonder as we go, and wonder by wonder as we go, we're already home. Already home. Already
Really lovely. Thank you. That was wonderful. Good morning. Good morning. I'm delighted to be here. Very special to be able to be here and speak to a vibrant community about the labyrinth. We sort of know that it's a pretty bumpy time right now in the world. Phyllis Tickle, the late Phyllis Tickle, a theologian, wrote about this and called it a hinge time. That we're in a hinge time. Now that's a darn small word for all of this stuff happening. The good news is that it's happened before. So that's helpful. And I'm using metaphors from Craig Chelquist, who's a professor at California Institute for Integral Studies in San Francisco. He talks about the Great Mother, the earliest prehistory time being the Great Mother. And the second, then, Western history moved into the heavenly kingdom. Middle Ages, right? Middle Ages. And then, with the Enlightenment and all of that, we moved into what's called the big machine. And our problem right now is the big machine has run out of gas. It's rusting out, and we know it. So I want to orient you a little bit. If we have the title slide up here, that's what we want to aim toward today, the watering hole of the Spirit, because that's what labyrinths are. There are many things, and I'll describe that. This is actually a beach labyrinth put in by this guy named Circle Man. And he does this, and this is a New Year's Day, and people just turn up and walk the labyrinth on Leucadia Beach down outside of San Diego. But just to show another slide of the labyrinths, this is Unity Village, folks. This is Unity Village. Yes, you have a lovely labyrinth there. Huge. It's a huge group labyrinth. Huge. So this is us walking it, or I think this is when I was there at the conference, and that's the entrance to it. And so that is quite an awesome walk, for sure. And then the next slide, just to kind of get our feet on the ground, is this is the classical seven-circuit labyrinth. Folks, this comes from the Great Mother. The Great Mother, the epoch of history. This is 4,000 to 5,000 years of age. 4,000 to 5,000. Now this is a wonderful, literally art piece that's walkable by a German woman named Marianne Eldek. And I just love this one. And I also, we have this idea that labyrinths have to be really expensive and all of that. And that's not so. There's so many things you can make for labyrinths as well. And then the next slide, which is this one. This is at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. So this is the permanent indoor one. There's also one outdoors in granite. I never, ever, ever imagined that Grace Cathedral would have two labyrinths, let alone one. Well, one, let alone two, something like that. And so this is from the heavenly kingdom. This is from the Middle Ages, and it's called the medieval 11-circuit labyrinth. And these are two of the most popular, the classical 7-circuit from the earlier time and the medieval labyrinth. This has a nickname called the Chartres Labyrinth because it's in Chartres Cathedral in France. And labyrinths have many, many names and many, many tasks in this world. One is labyrinth orders chaos. And we seem to be, in this bumpy time, having a lot of that kick up. So get thee to a labyrinth if you're feeling that. It's also a walking meditation. It's a path of prayer. It's a crucible of change. It's a tool of manifestation. All of those kinds of things can happen and kick up and be present with us in the labyrinth. It's also a mindfulness meditation because it pulls us right into the moment. Are there any failed meditators in this room besides me? Failed meditators unite, right? And that's what it does. When you're moving your body, it quiets your mind. That's why it's such a great tool for the Western mind, as the Buddhists say, the monkey mind, that it quiets as you're walking. That was really very helpful for me, really important for me. So, with labyrinths and the many tasks that they can do, quieting, opening the heart, being present, mindfulness, all of this, and those who work with labyrinths have a question that they ask one another, especially when you're first meeting for the first time. And the question is, did you find the labyrinth or did the labyrinth find you? Interesting question. And I would say that was true both for me. What was happening in my life at that time, I came to Grace Cathedral as the canon pastor in 1986. In 1987, we had the first public AIDS death, public in the sense that it wasn't secret like so many were before that. And now canon is kind of an odd title. It's a department head. There's a canon organist, right? There's a canon liturgist, right? And there's a canon pastor, which means you're pastoring the large community of Grace Cathedral. So by 1989, besides going through the Loma Prieta earthquake, we had 92 people die in our congregation. Understand that Grace Cathedral is seen as a civic church, and when you're in trouble, you come to Grace Cathedral, whether you're an official member or not. And so it was a time of great fear. There was a lot happening. The Worried Well folks, we formed a group there to do, we had programs. That was what we were doing. The people who were needing support because they were going for a test that week or that month. All sorts of ways that people were, under the surface, scared to death, no pun intended. One of my hearts went out to the group that we were working with parents coming to San Francisco to be with their very ill son and then later daughter. So it was a time of, just amazing angst. And I had never been surrounded by death. And for me, 4 years of working with this, I was burning out, and I also knew it wasn't my work. Nothing like doing something that's not your work to find out what it is. What is your work, right? And so I was going to leave Grace Cathedral. I don't want to be there anymore. I couldn't do this. And so I had a month sabbatical, and that was my question. What's my next step? What's my next step? Anybody asking that here? Yeah, it's a really great question for a labyrinth. It really, it's a labyrinthian question. And so I took this month, and I worked with Jean Houston. Perhaps you know her name, author of many books, and a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I worked with her in '85, and I thought, gosh, it'd be great to go back and have just a weekend with Jean in what's called the Mystery School. And so I did. Port Jarvis, New Jersey, going from San Francisco to this kind of cold, wintry place. And that's where her team taped on the floor a Chart-style labyrinth, 11th Circuit medieval labyrinth. Did I tell you why I use the word circuit instead of paths? A labyrinth is not a maze. It only has one path. Only has one path. And therefore, in the medieval labyrinth, that one path goes around the center 11 times in a complex spiral pattern, not a simple spiral. The classical 7-circuit labyrinth goes around how many times? and that's more based on a clear, simple spiral. So when I walked that labyrinth, taped to the floor, labyrinths don't have to be exact on everything. Sometimes people feel that. If you're going to put in an expensive labyrinth, like in Grace Cathedral, yeah, it'd be really good to be exact. But walking this labyrinth, something happened to me. I mean, it was an anxiety-producing experience for me, and partly because there were so many people, about 120, 130 people. We couldn't see the design clearly. I couldn't see it. I didn't know it wasn't a maze. I thought I was going to get lost. We have a lot of energy around getting lost, right? We really do. And it kicks up. It can kick up in the labyrinth. Why? Because the labyrinth is a mirror of the soul. It reflects back what we're feeling often. And what that did, I stayed later in the evening, I walked it 3 or 4 more times, and what happened there, it let loose on me the hound of heaven. You ever been chased down by the hound of heaven? I'll tell you, it's intense. It's intense. Remember Close Encounters of a Third Kind, that movie, right? Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss's character. And he sees, this huge spaceship coming over the mountain, and it's so out of his frame of any reference and no words for it. And he's trying to communicate what happened. And so here he's at a family dinner, and he's building a mountain out of the mashed potatoes. Remember that scene? I was like that. I was like that. And there was something happening, something coming, some thought I could not think. It was very frustrating. Took a couple months. And that's true of labyrinth experiences. Often you don't know what happened in the moment. It takes a couple months. And I wasn't building mashed potatoes at this family table, but I was walking in my living room in a circle. In a circle, just saying, what is it? What is it? And then finally, what is it? The thought dropped in. Put the labyrinth in the cathedral. Put the labyrinth in the cathedral. My next thought was, who could do that? Oh my God. And then, oh yeah, I have a cathedral handy. Yeah. Oh, okay. And from that moment on, things galvanized. Things galvanized. Just the people I needed to meet, the books I needed to read, and a trip to Shark Cathedral. A trip to Shark Cathedral. So, and this is August of '91. Now, there was a problem going to Shark Cathedral because the labyrinth has been closed since the French Revolution. So there are chairs, even now, except Fridays now, during tourist season now. But there's chairs. And so we walked in. We kind of knew that because we knew it was closed. And I had time to count the 256 chairs. And then we turned around and said, let's go get some coffee and croissant. Let's just leave. We left. We came back an hour later, and there was a service down in the crypt. And they have very few staff there, so the staff were down at that service. And so we had the time and energy to move the chairs. No permission, which was, a little uneasy producing. But we moved the chairs to walk the labyrinth. I wouldn't advise it. Please don't do that at Grace Cathedral because usually there are chairs off the labyrinth of Grace Cathedral, indoors and outdoors. Cathedrals are moody places. I mean, they carry moods with them. If you're having a wedding, there's a feeling of a festival. It's just fabulous. If you're having a funeral, there's a somber feeling throughout. Well, when we walked the labyrinth, and there was a little kind of band of 6 of us from Grace Cathedral to do this and move the chairs, and there was a feeling of joy. A feeling of joy. It's like someone had taken stardust and just tossed it into the air. It was a golden moment. And it lasted all throughout our walk. And then, after that, there's all sorts of things I'm skipping over, but it really did confirm that we should go ahead with the labyrinth at Grace Cathedral. And so that's what we did. That's what we did. Now, in that, we didn't have a labyrinth to introduce to people, but here we are, 5 of the 6. 6 of us included the dean, and he's not down on his hands and knees with us, but the other 5 of us were down on our hands and knees painting a canvas labyrinth. And then we introduced people to the cathedral. Grace Cathedral considers themselves a community of communities. And so we went to each community, the altar guild and the men's group and the women's, all of that, to introduce it. But we introduced it kind of slowly and quietly. And luckily, and this is how it happens, as you well know, into my life floats this invitation to do a workshop in Crystal City, Virginia. And I thought, perfect, because why? If you're going to do something really crazy making and like people are going to raise their eyebrows, because that was the phrase, now what is she doing, was around Grace Cathedral when I was doing this work. But what you do, you go as far away from home as possible. It worked. It worked. It was okay, you know? And it was an amazing experience. I learned tons because it was the first time ever opening it and teaching people how to walk the labyrinth. So after that, we came back and we were going to open the labyrinth. I mean, it's like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to introduce it? And we decided we were going to open the labyrinth at Grace Cathedral for New Year's Eve. And we had an event there called Singing for Your Life with Bobby McFerrin. It was the second year of that, and the first year we were opening the labyrinth in 1991. And I kind of like, wow, oh my heavens, it's hard to imagine. We had the canvas, we were moving into the cathedral, and Don Lattin, the then religious editor of the San Francisco Chronicle, came and kind of interviewed people, and he didn't walk it, you know, objectivity and all that, but he talked with people who walked it, and this was just a kind of little trial run down in the parish hall. And he was going to write an article and announce the opening of the labyrinth at Grace Cathedral. Well, I called him and said, Don, don't print it. And he says, too late. It'll be in Friday's paper, December 19th. So I remember getting up that Friday, feeling kind of a little dread in the bottom of my stomach, going and getting the Chronicle and opening it up. And here it is. Picture the labyrinth, a path to enlightenment. It's like, oh, is that what I'm doing? Is that what it is? My heavens, I'll sign up for that. And I remember saying that out loud. Wow, I'll sign up for that. You see, one of the important things that happens with a labyrinth, for many of us, and I know there's a number of creative intuitives in this room, we probably wouldn't be here if we weren't, that you just kind of keep doing what feels right, what your senses are, what needs to happen. You just keep moving and moving in that way. And so I'm putting this in words now, 20 years later, but I didn't have the words in those days. I didn't know what I was doing. There's this wonderful quote I saw in the back of a church. Please excuse the inefficiency of my work. The nature of it requires such a high degree of complexity that I simply don't know what I'm doing. And it's true. It was true all the way along. I'd love to say, oh, yeah, I really got this all figured. No, because it doesn't happen that way. And I think that's one of the really important things about the labyrinth, is that truly all deep spiritual teachings, all deep wisdom is always given indirectly. It's indirect. It's by metaphor, and that's what happens when you're walking a labyrinth. You know, the turns on life are the turns in the labyrinth. Sometimes people come and say, I hate those turns. I hate them. And in the Chartres labyrinth, there's 28 of them, 180-degree turns. And then you'll say, well, are you on a turn in your life? And they go, oh, yeah. You see, it's a reflective mirror in some way as well. So after all of this, it was wonderful. We had a great opening. 5,000, maybe 6,000 people came. They stood in a line for how many hours? I kept saying, hey, you know, going downstairs, there's other things to do. And then I realized that witnessing people walk the labyrinth is very and deeply nourishing and nurturing. Now, don't forget, though, too, you probably know that San Francisco is a huge costume night on New Year's Eve. And I'm one of the 5,000 people who got to see Maria Antoinette, Liberace, and Elvis Presley walk the labyrinth together. It was really a treat. It was really quite something. So all these years of working with the labyrinth, introducing people to it, and having the labyrinth out in the world, there's on our labyrinth locator, there's 7,900 labyrinths listed now. And that's a really handy tool. There's a website out there, Labyrinth Locator. You can find one anywhere that you're going on vacation or whatever. But I've always stayed with that it works, that the labyrinth works. And when you talk about a labyrinth working, what does that mean? It means you do enter into a portal of quiet, of openness. You can work with inner symbols. You can do dream work in the labyrinth. There's so much that happens and can happen in the labyrinth. I have a couple stories here, and I like to read these in people's own words because they're not my words. This one person said, "I believe I experienced healing in Grace Cathedral. After almost 10 years of not speaking to my family because of childhood wounds, they had no idea where I was living. I was able to reestablish contact with my mother this spring. The voice came from my heart that I should do this. How could I not obey?" Interesting, isn't it? Another came to Singing for Your Life. Actually, I came to San Francisco to specifically spend New Year's at Grace Cathedral and walk the labyrinth. One of the good things about being late in writing this thank you is that I can actually see changes in my life in the last 6 months. I had made a list as I sat in the church pew, not so much New Year's resolutions as bad habits I wished I could let go of. It surprised me to read that list again tonight. There's been some serious progress on just about everything I listed, in spite of the fact that I forgot about most of them. Interesting. Now, a lot of us are kind of, refugees is too strong a word, but a lot of us have come from other traditions. A lot of times because the traditions really don't feed our soul, or that we feel scolded, or that we feel like, we're not worthy because of the teachings. So here's one story that I really like to read. In addition, my reflections reminded me that I've never received life as being on a path. I think Unity really understands life as a path. Instead, it was like I had held against a measuring stick, like I had been held against a measuring stick. And certainly, it would never have been on a path to center. Center would have seemed bad or evil and would have needed to be avoided so I could follow external measurements of how I was doing. Those measurements would determine my worth, how I measured up. As you can see, the insights from my walks are gifts to carry with me as I continue my journey. So the sense that the labyrinth, it's unique to each person. The beauty of the metaphor of the path, the way, that you're walking it, and it's metaphoric. I love Marion Woodman's definition of metaphor. Metaphor unites, yokes together, spirit and matter. Spirit and matter. Think of this. She's a peach. He's a prince. You see, it says more. It says more. And so you're in a metaphoric mind when you're walking the labyrinth. And when you're there in that liminal realm, that world in between, then things happen. That's where transformation happens. So remember I left you with the big machine, right? And I want to go back to one photograph, and the ending photograph, because the big machine is now producing labyrinths. The problem with the big machine era that we're in is that unfortunately we've been told that life does not have a purpose. Can you imagine that our lives don't have a purpose? Good heavens. That we're not here to express love, joy, connection, hope, longing, yearning for what we can be truly. And so the vision of where we're going, I think, it has many names. Phyllis Tickle called it the Great Emergence. Wonderful Joanna Macy called it the Great Turning. I like that because in the labyrinth you do turns, right? And there's so many different names. There's New Story, Thomas Berry. And then Joseph Campbell, this is Earthrise. And I think Earthrise is where we're going. Earthrise is what we're talking about here, divine oneness, connection, open your heart in love, allowing yourself to be present with one another and feel connected and search for that connection. Earthrise. We need a new vision. We need a new vision. And I think Earthrise is it. Now, it's important to realize, and this is one of the major benefits that I think you have in the Unity community, is that as we move into Earthrise, we're basing a lot of our new understanding on new science. And it's quantum physics, folks. It's no longer empirical science. You know, can't count it, can't prove it, can't see it, doesn't exist. That's the old model. The new model is that we are united and connected by an energetic field that we can't see, but we can feel. And you see, it's everywhere. But what the labyrinth does, it's a temenos. It intensifies the quantum field. So that's why you can walk in with your heart's yearning, your tears from a great loss, your hopes for a dream that we sang about earlier. That when you're in this quantum field, and again, chaos is only uncommitted energy. But when you commit that energy, when you are there prayerfully, thoughtfully, with an open heart, your heart becomes the magnet for your next step. Your heart becomes the magnet for the future. That's why the labyrinth, is a watering hole for the Spirit. So be it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for opening us to our labyrinth walk. Our prayer chaplains are available after this service to provide personal support. If you're a prayer chaplain serving today, please stand. Our prayer chaplains wear the lavender stoles. Whether you have a joy or a concern on your heart today, praying with our prayer chaplains is a powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised into consciousness. And now let's open our hearts to the practice of giving. It's our prosperity celebration. I invite you to prepare your gifts as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, we shall receive. In truth, there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is our true nature. For your convenience, there's a variety of ways to financially give to this community. For electronic giving, you may download the Give app or take an envelope from the clipboard in the back of each chair in front of you. Those of you at home can click on the Give Here button or Donate button on the Watch Live page. I invite you to take your tithe or blessing. Take your tithe and offering in your hand and repeat our affirmation with me together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful.
I look into the window
you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's bless our gifts together, shall we? And don't forget, we have a 1 o'clock workshop that's right in here in the sanctuary, so you can take a quick break and come on back. Oh, we give thanks for the infinite blessings, the multiplied blessings that befall us now. As we give, we do indeed receive more than we could ever know or hold. And so it is with the receiving that we immediately share once again. We thank you, Spirit, for the opportunity in this ministry, in this community, to continue to give as we receive, to give the joy, the love, the peace that you may be feeling right now. Thank you, God, for all that we are and all that we do. Let's bless our offering together. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, constant flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is. Well, the children are having such a good time, they're not coming in. So I invite you to take your neighbor's hand as we close out with our prayer of protection and our peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God ever present, and we all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
You are the light and the love and the peace on earth right now. So shine your light and spread joy and have fun, all of it.